Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Gail.
So today we are going to talk all about setups, especially family setups, because for me, it's literally never worked. And I always have so much more of a success rate when I am using a dating app or even like meeting people in person, just because it's by my own doing. I know what I like, and I think people who are doing setups, like, they're just thinking of a random person they know and hoping it works. They're not licensed matchmakers.
I disagree, Kim. I think the best fix-ups are usually by either a family member or a close friend, and because they know you best and you basically have the same backgrounds and usually the similar outlooks.
So I agree with the same backgrounds, similar circle, similar outlooks, oftentimes religion, whatever it is. But by saying you know the person best, it's like whenever you've done a setup, aren't you thinking, okay, this random person, or like a friend of yours said, my grandson's single. You don't know what the grandson is like.
True, but if you like the lady or the gentleman, then usually they've got nice children. It's not tried and true. It's not absolutely 100% workable, but in most cases, it gives you a little head start in the dating procedure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's true. In my experience, I have not found it to be true. This is why I want to tell you about the date this week, which was a setup. So it did not go well. I would actually say it's one of the worst ones that I've had for multiple reasons. But usually I can't really tell if I don't like someone or not. This time, as soon as I walked up and said hello, I was like, this is going to be an issue.
So there was no chemistry. What can you do?
Right. And I guess like whether that was a setup or not, it could have happened either way. I just think I would have, if I had spoken to this person before or chose him myself, I think that I wouldn't have been put in the situation, but I wanted to go ahead and trust the setup, and it was a bad decision. As soon as I got there, we were waiting for our table, and it was for a while, and I was like, I don't even want to sit down at the table because I already can tell that we are not connecting for multiple reasons. One, he wasn't really asking me questions about myself. I feel like I was putting in all the conversation effort, and he was just like didn't have the social niceties. Two, I don't know. There were just some things. So I'm thinking before we sit down, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to order one course because I don't want this to be such a long dinner. And then we sit down and he's like, want to share stuff.
Well, he evidently thought you were better than you thought him.
Well, yeah, obviously. He followed up with me the next day, wanted to go out again. I also wanted to talk about this because it's on theme. We got a DM from one of our listeners, and she had a story for us about a setup. She said, I'll read it. My grandma tried to set me up with a nice Jewish boy once. I resisted for months, and then I finally caved and said she could give him my number. He never called. When I asked her what happened weeks later, she said they got him. And I asked who. She said he got drawn in by a super religious sect and moved to Israel within the week of getting my number.
Well, I guess win some, you lose some. What can you do? But you know what? You got to keep trying, and Grandma has to keep looking.
We have an amazing guest on this week.
I'm so excited, Kimberly. She's my favorite.
Yeah, we love her. And she was actually set up by her grandmother successfully. So we're going to hear all about her story. So today we are joined by Jill Kargman. She created and starred in the Bravo series Odd Mom Out, which was based on her 2007 book Momzilla. It's all about being young parents in New York City, comparing herself to other Upper East Side moms. She played a fictionalized version of herself. It is hilarious. It's so accurate. Jill, welcome to Excuse My Grandma.
And I loved it, Jill, too.
Here on Excuse My Grandma, Gail gives me a lot of her advice and opinions on my dating life. And I feel like our generation sort of feels like the odd mom out when it comes to dating, just because I feel like we're the first to deal with it with technology, with social media, with dating apps. So I want to get your 2 cents on and perspective on dating in 2021. But did your grandma ever give you any advice about your dating life when you were single?
Well, funny you should ask. I met my husband, Harry Kargman, through my grandmother. She and her Palm Beach Country Club bridge buddy fixed me up with my husband.
No,
so
Grandma, why haven't you done
married
that for
with
me?
these? Yeah, seriously, you got to get on it, Gail.
I've been trying.
It's so funny. I call it shtetl chic. It's very Fiddler on the Roof. we had another grandmother fix up with another friend of their little cadre of yentas, and she fixed me up with her grandson, Adam. And I was so excited. And this guy, Adam, called me. We traded calls and we arranged to meet. This is again before cell phones, back in the crypt
Right, back in the prehistoric
days. And I got there and he's like, he said, I'm totally gay. And my grandmother would drop dead if she knew. So then 3 years later, when I met Harry's grandmother, she said, I want to fix it with my grandson. I'm like, oh no, she doesn't know that her grandson, is a pole smoker. So I just wound up like going anyway.
And the rest is history, I guess. I love that. You're so lucky that you never had to go on any of the dating apps.
I give good text. I think I would have been good at the apps.
Yeah, I feel like we should have done that. I feel like offline, maybe I'll have you rewrite my dating app profile because mine needs a lot of help.
Totally Cyrano de Bergerac you.
I would love that. So then I guess when you brought your husband home, your family kind of had to embrace him because they brought him into your world to begin with. But have you ever been in a situation, I guess, before you met him where you were bringing people home that they did not like?
No, my grandma, I feel like as long as they were Jewish, she was fine with it. My parents handled me so well. They always liked my boyfriends because I never dated. I was sort of raised, that the nice guys finish first and don't be into some bad boy that treats you like shit. Like I never really had a boyfriend who was bad to me in any way. And I just never would have put up with it. I don't know. I think I had strong parents. So I never was going to settle for a guy who was a dick. But I definitely dated, the waspy type with the lacrosse stick up his butt. And then, and I think my parents wanted me to marry someone Jewish because they felt like marriage is hard enough. You want to have that sort of part of your personality that is mirrored in your spouse, and that it can just be more difficult to have two religions. And I do think they were right, at least for us, unless there's a clear-cut situation like my sister and brother-in-law where he's Australian, raised Christian, but she spelled it out very early, like, you don't have to convert, but the kids are going to be raised Jewish. And he said, okay, so it's not an issue. I just think people have to communicate.
Exactly.
And parents, I think what that's all coming from is like a fear of dying out. And, just having that identity. I don't think it's about like God. I don't pray. I'm not spiritual, but I'm Jewish. So I just think it's cultural, it's humor, it's a love of family and food and a lot of things. And Harry and I kind of have always said to each other, we're so lucky we found each other because we're not, I never would have met him in a million years if it weren't for that fix up. He was in Tribeca. He's in tech. I don't really know anyone that's in tech. And I just come from a different kind of world. And even my friends who were in his class in college didn't know who he was. He was very computer lab. I call him geek chic.
Did you like him on the first date, or did you give him a second or third try, Jill?
Oh no, right away. He opened the door.
Good.
So I was engaged twice before I met Harry. And and neither of the guys that I was engaged to ever skied before, and I love skiing. So Harry opened the door and he was wearing Harvard ski team pants. So it was like double excited that he was smart and he skied. So and then the next morning we had like the longest first date ever. I think I met him at like 6 or 7, and he put me in a taxi at 3 a.m. we were carrying ice cream cones, and he put me in the taxi, and I got home and my landline was ringing. Again, we didn't have cell phones, and I picked up the phone at 3:12 in the morning, and he's like, hi, it's Harry. I just wanted to make sure you got home okay. And I was like, okay, this is my husband. Aww. So then when I had my like Sex and the City girls brunch the next day, I said, I met my husband last night. It was really crazy. And I was right. So
wow,
it moved very fast.
See, I have friends that at that Sex and the City brunch will say that, and then they don't text them back ever again. So you can't really take it so seriously.
Oh, that's so sad.
You know what I mean? But when you know, I guess I just always have a rule. After you're on a date for like 2 or 3 hours, I feel like even if you're having a good time, I kind of tried to end it. And then because you could always see them again if you both liked each other. I just feel like I never want to ruin a good thing. But in your case, it worked. So maybe I have to rethink it.
Yeah, it did work. It's funny. I'm like you. I honestly, Kim, I'd be like, okay, 2 hours is great. We're good. And with him, he's like, now what do you want to do? He's like, I call him the kindergartner because he's so friendly.
Mhm.
And like, we get on a chairlift and he's like, hi, I'm Harry. This is my wife, Jill. We're from New York. Where are you from? I was like, who fucking cares where they're from? Like, why are you talking to them? We have enough friends and you're never going to see them in 12 minutes. So he was just like so bubbly and friendly. And I'm more of a misanthrope. And at the end of dinner, he's like, let's go here. Let's go there. Let's go to this bar. Let's go. So we ended up, I'm not, a pub crawling person, but we wound up going to like 3 or 4 places. And then he's like, I thought the night was winding down. He's like, hey, you want to go get gelato? And so like, it just kept adding on layers. And next thing I knew, it was also in the summer. So we walked all around New York. It was like a great kind of Annie Hall first date. I feel like the one thing in general is like the rules are, there are no rules. I really think that's important because essentially, with these text messages that some of my like younger friends, I'll go through their phone and look at them, and it gets very gameplay where they sort of are saying like, they're trying not to look like they're not trying too hard and to architect their thing. And I feel like life's too short to play games, and it's better to just kind of get to the bottom line. If it scares them off, that's not your husband.
Jill, your children are dating at this point?
Sadie's had a boyfriend for 2 years. We love him. He's like part of the family. They're super young. They're not, gonna get married, but they're super, super cute. And they've been together for 2 years. And I feel like he's traveled with us and is part of the gang now. I think that when you have a first love that's really strong and really loves you and worships you, you're never going to go backwards. Right. That's why I'm so happy about her boyfriend, is like, she's never going to go out with a guy who treats her like shit, because she's already had someone who thinks she's a goddess and carries her books around and, brings her flowers. So like, I'm not worried about that. And actually, like, I've read articles with psychologists saying the best possible thing for a girl is to have that amazing first love that sets the bar really high and treats you really well. So, and I keep saying that to her and to her sister, like the same thing my parents said to me, like, you don't want the douchebags. They might be hot. There's like 3 other girls in the picture. And like, you don't, all you need is one. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because a lot of the marriages that I've seen crumble now in 21 years of my.
Oh, you're married 21 years. That's pretty good.
Yeah. We've been together 21 years. We've been married 19. And we just see so many relationships that fell apart where like one person wasn't enough. Like they kind of wanted more attention, or they just didn't want to build their life around one person, kind of. I mean, another thing that's weird is these pandemic divorces.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I think people are sick of each other.
Of couples, well, they're sick of each other, but I think they really needed group dinners and parties to support their marriage. Like they have nothing to talk about without talking about other people.
Right.
That's so interesting. And that's unhealthy anyway, but that just brought that to the forefront.
I think the pandemic put a lot of emphasis on togetherness to the point of they didn't see anybody else, and people were getting, if they didn't have a basis for a relationship, it was tough going, being together for a year and a half. So I do feel sorry for a lot of these couples who are definitely finding it difficult, and hopefully will be happier either with their mate or without it. I mean, there's not much we can do anymore. Hopefully we're seeing the end. We get vaccinated and get on with our business.
Yeah,
totally. I feel bad for people who have been dating in this and doing Zoom dates. Yeah. I think that's hard. I mean,
so do I.
It makes it so deliberate versus just like striking up a conversation.
Although I feel like the good thing about it is you can vet someone before actually wasting your time. Not that like I'm so busy. Right. You always say not like you're the head of General Motors, like you have plenty of time.
So funny.
But I feel like if I don't like someone on a FaceTime after 5 minutes, great. I didn't waste my entire night. You could do 10 dates back to back if you want. And it kind of makes it a little faster. That said, meeting over FaceTime or Zoom, like there's no romance to that. There's no spark. And I can't do the night that you did with your husband and walk around New York City and have the charm, Woody Allen kind of night. That won't happen over Zoom. So I think it's hard, but I think there are some pros or some silver linings out of it too.
Yeah. That's true. The time thing is huge. I can't tell you how many evenings I got a blow dry and came home disappointed in the back of a cab because he was such a schmuck.
Okay, so before we finish, I just wanted to ask, you're now a correspondent on the Drew Barrymore show. Tell
Yes.
us about that experience. Do you like working together?
I love it. I only work 1 day a week, so I have like the easiest job in the world. So I film a segment and then the week after they cut it and then I come into the studio to present it and talk about it. So last week I can't even believe this was a job because it was so much fun. Although I was like obese after, but I did a 5-borough pizza tour where I did like a pizza crawl through the 5 boroughs. I ate so much pizza and I wore a ridiculous pizza fanny pack and a chef hat and a pizza mask, and the whole thing was crazy. And then I'm shooting. It's on this Friday on CBS.
Oh, all right, good. We're going to watch it. We're looking forward to it.
And she's your ex-sister-in-law, Drew Barrymore, right? So is that like good working
she was
with
married
family?
to my brother. It's so great. I love her so much. And my brother's getting remarried and I love his new wife so much. Everyone is just, there's like a lot of love to go around. And I'm a girl's girl. I love my brother, but I've always had a special connection with Drew and Allie as well. I just feel really lucky. I think, we hit the sister-in-law jackpot twice, which never happens.
Yes. I'm a girl's girl also, but my grandma thinks that girls should not do girls' night out and should just, meaning married girls or girls in relationships shouldn't have that, which I think you need a girls' night out.
I don't know if that's all right.
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of, through my kids' schools, there were a lot of moms' dinners and things like that. But I generally see my friends for drinks or lunch. I don't really do like a night out. And what really I never understood is girls' trips. Like there's a lot of married women who go on these girls' trips to Miami or wherever. And my mom never did that. Like it's just not my upbringing. So I don't judge, but it's not for me.
Yeah, that's actually so interesting. I guess there would be no reason to do a girls' trip because it's usually around like socializing with others, drinking, meeting other people. And then why would you need to do that if you were in a relationship?
A lot of people need to escape. They want that break. I don't know. It's not for me, but I spend a lot of time with my female friends. I have 5 friends and they're the bridesmaids of my wedding and they're still my best friends. Like one's coming for drinks tonight. I have lunch with another one this week. It's usually one-on-one or in a small group for drinks, but I'm not like hitting to clubs.
Right. Totally makes sense. Jill, thank you so much for joining us on Excuse My Grandma. How can people follow you?
Oh, it's just at Jill Kargman, my name on Insta, Twitter, what have you. Thank you so much. You guys are the cutest. I'm so into this whole concept for a podcast. I think it's fabulous.
Hope you all enjoyed the interview with Jill. She's so much fun. And now I feel like she might have changed my mind a little bit about setups. I see the validity to it, but Grandma, you have to get together with your yentas and set me up because that's what you said to do.
All right. I'm going to work this week.
So you guys know the drill. You can follow us on Instagram at Excuse My Grandma. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Leave us a review, 5 stars, please. And you can write in all of your questions. Check out our website, excusemygrandmapodcast.com, and you can follow my personal Instagram at Kim Merstein. Have a great week.
And remember,